They raised $900 million and now they're valued at $4 billion. Total signups or images, videos generated. Why Luma and not some other AI content tool? Today I have the pleasure to interview Theo from Luma, one of the leading AI companies in the content generation space. I am genuinely blown away by how far Luma got since it started in 2023 and it was just a 3D app. It wasn't so good in my view at that time, but right now they're just rock and roll. Next thing you know, they raised $900 million and now they're valued at $4 billion. So in this episode, we're uncovering how they got here and where they're headed. So let's start with the basics. Who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, thank you for having me. So my name is Theo. I'm a lead engineer on the new Luma Agents product that we have. And yeah, I am building the product and deciding kind of what we should build for people.
Yeah, it feels exciting. And so let's go back. When did you actually join the company?
Yeah, so I joined the company around 3.5 years ago. For a startup time, this is a long time.
Yeah.
I joined directly from Apple, where I was working on the Vision Pro device that Apple had, which is also 3D. And yeah, I've been here for around 3.5 years. I was basically the fifth engineer that joined the company.
Okay, and let's talk about the pivoting point, because Luma was basically a 3D app from the start, right? I remember having a phone in my hand and just playing around with it. And now it's just so much more. When did that happen? When did you think we're gonna pivot from just a 3D mobile app to a web app full of all these content tools?
Yeah, so basically the transition happened around 2 years ago, essentially. Luma's goal was never to build just 3D capture content. It was always to give people the ability to world build. It was just then that the foundation models that we had would only allow us to bring content from the real world and then edit it in the virtual world. The capabilities yet to generate the world from the beginning, much more limited. One thing we noticed there early was that a lot of our users would try to capture content that was not necessarily 3D friendly. So, a wedding picture, flowing hair, their dog running in the beach. There is no way to model that with traditional 3D constructs like triangles and textures and things like that. Just flowing hair in a movie might have 20 people working on it. It's just so complicated to model realistically. So we realized very early that modeling things as 3D before you bring them into the digital world is not the path for most of the content that people want to create.
Yeah.
And video was very to detect from the beginning is a superset essentially. The 3D in that world is just a way to create the final render, that is the pixels, right? Is a representation that you use to render the actual end pixels. But with video, you can this video generation models that we have, you can just generate the pixels directly. So you don't even need to go through a lossy representation to finally create the scene that you have in your mind. So when we decided that and the math checked out and we're like, this is where we have to go, it was a very ambitious, change because you need a completely different scale of company to achieve that. But we gathered the team, we built the first foundation model to generate 3D content and then transition there and build a dream machine basically, and the first video model there around approximately 2 years ago at this point.
Yeah, you've come a long way, and the fun part about this AI times is that the 2 years in progress is 20 years, 30 years ago. It's just so fast. That brings me to my next question. So how did Luma got to such a huge valuation and popularity? Why Luma and not some other AI content tool?
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors out there about the evaluation, but we've definitely had a very big round recently. And I think I would separate out kind of the popularity with users from the popularity with the investment community and how you raise money basically in this space. But essentially in order to raise money and get a big evaluation, people are betting on how big of a say you have in the future in many ways. They're not necessarily betting on how many users you can get tomorrow, but what is your overall leverage that you have in the technology in many ways. So if you're a company that is building a product that is just calling other companies' models Google's models and Luma's models, you have less of a say in the future because as this technology develops, you're always going to be one step behind. You can't really create fundamental different experience for users that they can't have somewhere else, it's much harder. So there, it's also harder to raise the money because like it's more difficult to make that case to people. So Luma fundamentally has foundational research. So we build our own models. We have basically some state-of-the-art models in video generation and now in kind of multimodal image generation as well. So with these models, you can build fundamentally different experiences for people than you can without them. So we really focus on that full stack offering in many ways, where you can just see what kind of things people need, your users need the most, where they're suffering the most, and what is blocking them from achieving their projects and finishing their tasks. And you can build solutions across product and research and models.
Yeah, I see. It makes sense. It's probably one of the most interesting ways why you're different from all the other thousands of different tools, because you're not just aggregating all the APIs from Google VO3 and stuff, but you have your own thing. Now the agents, so I totally understand why they invested 900 mil. It's just gonna grow a lot more, I think. Now, tell us some mind-blowing stats from your company. Some people might be interested, something you can reveal, like total signups or images, videos generated, any kind of numbers?
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't publicly announce these numbers, so I can't comment on that. But it's just very interesting to see how many minutes of content are generated in total from these models compared to traditional pipelines, and just keep a tracker of that and just see how generated pixels just start growing over time. But yeah, we'll probably have more of that at some point later.
Okay, just imagine a few million images or videos a day. My wild guess. Okay.
There's a lot of GPUs that are doing a lot of work right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, do you expect this growth to continue? I don't want to draw comparisons, but every new technology seems boom and then bust. So what will the usage of content tools continue to, will it continue to grow, in your opinion, in the same pace, or is it gonna slow down in a while?
I would bet very heavily that's going to be an accelerated pace. We've already seen it happen in the text models in a way, and how coding has changed recently. It's been a very rapid change. It's kind of hard to keep up with things at this point, but coding has changed so fast because it's the first things that these models can do very well, because there's an extreme incentive to do well. There's a lot of data, so the world has converged for that to be the first use case of AI that kind of explodes in that way. We really think that visual creation is next. Basically, the only reason the models are not good at doing end-to-end work visually and just being an actual thought partner and visual partner with you and being able to help you with your visual tasks, most of the popular models that you see in the market are not trained with that objective in mind. So they're trained to write a lot of emails, to respond to a lot of questions, to write a lot of code and things like that. They're not trained to have taste. They're not trained on how good video is made, on how to go from a script to visual creation, on how to explore ideas. So there is this fundamental lack capability that is missing, and this is what we're trying to bridge with our models. So we are training now our models to be completely multimodal from the get-go, from the training, from their birth in many ways, to immediately from the beginning understand what it means to see things, to create visual things, just as they understand how to write code maybe and do other things. And what we've noticed already is that the more you train the model from the beginning with visual content, the more even its text capabilities are improving. Because in order to write a script, you need to know how it's going to look in the screen. In order to go from a script to a video, you need to have seen how scripts look and text. So models, these foundation models fundamentally benefit from having a wide range of capabilities and just seeing a lot of things just as humans do. So that's why we're building our next generation of models as this unified brand, basically, where we are training our models in one multimodal token latent space, essentially, and that will benefit the models from being able to do a lot of visual tasks. So we expect that in a couple of years, like today is going to look like almost ancient history in many ways on how we use creative tools, because fundamentally, like every change you've seen in AI right now in the visual space has been with models that are not native to this medium. So we will expect to see like a very large increase in just being able to produce stuff.
Yeah, imagine repeating the same thing that you just said to my grandparents. They would be like, what? Speak English. Or Slovak in my case.
Oh, nice.
All right, let's go ahead now with another question. So, where does this take Luma? What are your plans for the next 1 to 2 years? I know you just have your launch right now.
Yeah.
Is the whole focus around that, or do you have other plans?
Yeah, there's like now finally we have the company is big enough to be able to have like multiple targets. But fundamentally now what we're trying to build is we're basically trying to solve the problems that users have right now. So, the promise for a long time has been like, just use these tools. You're going to be able to create movies. You're going to be able to do this, to create that. Fundamentally, like this is what we're trying to build end to end now. So we're trying to finally build a full workspace for users where they can come in and the models immediately understand their preferences, their taste, their style, and then start creating from there instead of having every time you create a video to specify, hey, I want this, X, Y, So we're fundamentally trying to build a workspace for them where they can work with these Luma agents that we've built and AI in general, so that they can start with an idea and then kind of quickly expand it into all the way to the final product that they're building. And then at the same time, building the models that are needed to be able to power that workspace. So across image generation, video generation, text generation. So basically there's a lot of missing capabilities now on like how do you create storyboards, how do you use Sketch, how do you understand art, and we're kind of trying to build the models that can bridge that gap fully and produce actual value for people in the end. So these are Luma agents, and our unified models are the way we think we will achieve that.
Okay, makes sense. Like this tech feels like the next step in the whole content generation space, because we just had like platforms to generate videos there, images there, but you're kind of focusing on more on the storytelling, the creative part. And social media are full of these videos and content. I do it myself, but next step is actually like probably make movies, and all that stuff. So I feel good about this direction. Like you're gonna jump into this huge space, kind of. I'm not sure if it's like a competition for Hollywood, or you want to be like friends with them, like here are the tools, What are your thoughts on that? Is it like a competition, or you're more like here are the tools, you can use them?
Yeah, I think it's fundamentally we are tool makers in many ways, right? So it's the same paradigm that has played out again in things like coding. Like, Anthropic is not a competitor to engineers, out there. Like everyone is using Anthropic to achieve their goals, in many ways. So we hope to build tools that people in the movie industry, in the ad industry, like anyone can just use to produce the ideas they've had in their mind. The fundamental premise here is that, we've all have so many ideas and things we want to explore. If you ask any good creative right now in a company of like, if you had infinite time that you could clone yourself many times, like what would you build? They have all these ideas in their drawer of like really thoughtful ads or like movies or short stories or visual like pitch decks and stuff where they were never able to build because they didn't have the time, the client didn't want it, their boss didn't like it. And fundamentally what you're telling them is like, now you finally have the tools that you can prove out your ideas, you can build them out without needing to have like a complicated $50 million production, before you can even get your foot on the door. But you empower people with good ideas and taste to be able to actually like build and produce the things that they've had in their mind. And this is what I think AI will offer across different industries.
Yeah, so the drawers are full and you're giving people a vibe filming, so...
Yeah.
You empty those drawers right now.
You'd be surprised how many people have insanely good ideas that have never been developed.
I'm not actually.
Okay.
Like, people are so good at ideas. You don't have to be a genius to have ideas.
Yeah.
It's just the world shifted right now, yeah. And like it's always been about action. but right now the idea guys can prosper finally. So I think it's worth mentioning. Now, it's been like a month or two since OpenClaw came out, and it's probably the most viral thing since, I don't know, maybe even ChatGPT. Is it something your company could adopt or offer? What are your thoughts on this tech?
Yeah, it's a very interesting tech. So I think like what we aim to do with Luma agents essentially is to offer agentic capabilities for people to be able to execute end-to-end tasks. Like this is the goal. So like if you say like, hey, here's my brand guideline, here's an ad I've created in the past, create one that matches this style, you know, you can have an autonomous sort of agent that goes on the side, creates like a draft for you, comes back, you check in, and you could have like a lot of these things going and working for you at any given time. So it is already kind of like a similar model where you have these agents gain more and more and more independence in many ways and be able to do more and more end-to-end tasks. So we expect to expand that as well, to be able to kind of like, you know, connect with a lot of your other tools that you have that you may have your assets in, integrate with other kind of tools that you're using. We want essentially anyone that has a creative task in mind that they want to do, like we want to offer a solution for them, you know, and embed it in probably a lot of different platforms for them.
Okay, I like that. Now, where do you see AI headed overall until like 2030, you know, 4 years ahead?
Yeah.
You're in the tech space, like literally you're the engineer, you know, so this is probably a good question for you. Like, where can the next 4 years take us in not just the content generation, but like overall vibe coding, all that stuff together?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I think one thing I've seen is that the deeper someone is in the tech field, the less of an idea they have of how fast things could move. So like, you know, the people that are more in the inside part of things, like, you know, will the more you're like, oh my God, I did not know, you know, how far we can go in 4 years. So like in many ways it's hard to predict at this point, you know, 1 year ahead. But I think we will fundamentally see like a huge growth in like the things you can just do, you know. So basically almost anything that can be produced in a computer essentially, you know, will be it will be possible to automate in some way. I think the big missing piece is how good these models are at doing visual work, because as long as you don't have visual work and ability to evaluate your output visually, the total number of tasks you can do is much smaller. You can't create a slide, you know, you can't create even a document. You know, documents need to be pretty, you know, like you can't create a lot of things. So the moment these models become truly multimodal and can understand both what they wrote and the output of what they created, then you close that loop where these models can just start improving, essentially. I don't want to say the self-improving, you know, word, but fundamentally they become better and better and better at checking on their own work. So that means that they can go more and more independent. They can do longer form tasks. So fundamentally then the question is, who gives them the tasks to complete, you know? I think for quite some time, humans will be doing that. We will be the people that have the taste, that have the reason to create something, that, you know, give the feedback, give the reason to build something, I think for quite some time. But it's very hard to predict, you know, where things go.
So we're safe for a few years.
I think so. Yeah.
And so to conclude, probably the future is agentic and multimodal. Right?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. You can't go otherwise.
Makes sense. And it's crazy to even think about ChatGPT wasn't out even 4 years ago right now.
Yeah.
And I'm asking about the next 4 years. Can you imagine?
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Now, this is it. Everything that I wanted to go through. Something you would like to share in the end, maybe about Luma, upcoming things.
Yeah, go and try Luma agents and tell us what you think. Try your most difficult prompt in there. Bring complicated visual references, ask it to find things online for you, and give us feedback on where it failed and where it did well. And we are very excited about the future and how we can close the gap into what is promised in AI and what is actually delivered.
Awesome. I will share all the links in the description so you can go ahead and check it out and try it out. Thanks for doing this, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.